Hey, everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and over there is the Chris to my Josh.
That's boring. Nobody cares about that.
I had one, and I forgot. I completely blanked on what it was. I came up with one earlier today, and I blanked on it. It had something to do with the Warriors 3, and I couldn't remember what their names were. Anyways, you were going to be the Lady Sif, by the way. So.
Oh, lovely. That's okay. It's 2022. Do what I want.
Yeah. Right. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Feel good about the show tonight. Feel good about my players. Life's good. Family's great. Not so much going great for you. How are you doing?
Well, I'm going to pretend that the last, 3 days didn't exist. So, I say I'm doing great.
I'll take that. I'll take that. All right, just test
if anyone hears it in the background here, my dog is not really doing so great at the moment, so you'll probably hear hack and cough at times. I have a cough button, but it's hard to hit that when I'm talking. So,
yeah, and you're always talking, so just kidding.
I'm not you.
Yeah, I do.
Anyways,
sorry. Couple of adjustments.
Chris, it is week 6. Do you know what week 6 means?
Buys.
Yes, we have the Titans, Raiders, Lions, and Texans on bye. For those of you who are interested in those running backs, there's actually some good running backs missing this week. That's Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, the RB 5 on the year so far.
He's playing so well, dude.
Yeah, so well, and he looks good doing it too. Like, where has this Josh Jacobs been? Anyways,
it's contract year. That's why.
Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift out also with on bye, and Dameon Pierce, who is in the top, who's an top 10 RB as well. So, there's at least 3 or 4 top 10 running backs right now on bye. So
crazy. You got RBs this week, so
I have RBs. So there's that. I mean, your receivers a little bit lesser. You're missing your Devontae Adams. If you're leaning on him in bigger leagues, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, or Nico Collins, as it kind of appears to be nowadays. And if I didn't say it, also Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark sort of thing.
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of mention of a couple receivers in my deal.
Yeah. So, that's what we're here for. We're here to, this is what this show is really good for, is some bye week fill-in names.
Bye weeks, injuries. Mm-hmm.
I got 1 or 2 lower hanging fruits, but they're maybe not quite as obvious as you'd think. Maybe
I think I got one. I got one for sure.
I have no shame in 1 or 2. But,
well, I think it's important to remind
if you had a list of here's my RB1 on the week, who happens to be Nick Chubb, and then my RB2 on the week is Austin Eckler, who happens to be the RB2 on the year, and
I usually go for if I'm going to pick a top 10, top 24 type of guy, I'm probably going to, top 12, top 10. I'm going to include something like maybe he's bouncing back from a bad game. Maybe he's been injured. Maybe
great matchup.
Exactly, or it's a bad matchup and you want to give him a vote of confidence, or it's just an amazing
Chris,
matchup.
was that a bad matchup, or was that a bad matchup?
Oh, did I stutter or something?
No, I was just making sheep sounds.
Oh, okay. No, it's a bad.
Okay. Not bad.
No sheep were harming the filming of this. Okay.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. Give it a minute. The night is young. I'm only a quarter of a drink deep.
Anyways.
All right.
Chris, I believe you got some news for us.
I've got some news. I'm pretty sure I put this in order of position. Hope I didn't miss one at the bottom. Yeah, I definitely did. Oh, a couple of them. Okay, we're just going to push forward.
Missed the bottom.
I ran out of time. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott was listed as a limited participant in practice today, marking the first time he's officially participated in practice since his thumb injury in week 1. He said he felt great throwing Wednesday. So through Wednesday, practiced Thursday. But we are still getting another week of Cooper Rush, to be clear on that. Mac Jones with an ankle injury was limited on Wednesday. The Panthers quarterback Baker Mayfield suffered a high ankle sprain. Oh, go ahead.
I would like to say that last week Mac Jones, I believe, got a limited practice in anyways, and Bailey Zappi still played. So it's,
the impression I'm getting
fantasy
is
football. probably, that's the impression I've got too from what I've seen in the news. And you're probably not counting on Mac Jones anyways.
I think this might be an ankle sprain also. It says ankle. I think it might be a high ankle sprain also.
I believe so. Yeah. So he's probably. Anyways, I'm sorry. You were talking about someone in Carolina.
Speaking of high ankle sprains and quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield suffered a high ankle sprain in Sunday's
game. So fashionable.
That means he'll miss time. How much time is yet to be determined? PJ Walker will be in line to start versus
probably a couple more weeks at least for Baker.
Yeah, I think so. The Dolphins are planning to start Skylar Thompson this week, per McDaniel. He's a rookie.
I'm sorry, who?
Skylar Thompson.
I thought his name was Sean Thomas.
Nope, Skylar Thompson. I hope, unless I just pulled a name out of the thin blue sky.
I was making a Trevor Hennings reference. Anyways, from last year. Anyways, never mind. Keep going.
I think he's an undrafted rookie. I didn't jot it down, but I think he might be something crazy like that, man. It's nuts this week with the quarterbacks that are starting. A new starting running back for the Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson Jr. is expected to start for Commanders tonight versus the Bears.
Game's going on right now.
Rodgers said there's a good opportunity for Antonio Gibson to be used as a returner this week. So
he's not very good.
I think he's good. I just think Ron Rivera is an idiot, and they're a really bad team. Cardinals' James Conner is expected to miss the Seattle game with a rib injury. He's been nursing this rib injury practically, in fact, all year, I think. And I'm surprised he's played through.
More on his backup to come.
Yeah, not surprised there. Raheem Mostert, knee injury, says he will play versus the Vikings. He was back practicing today, Thursday. Jonathan Taylor with an ankle returns to practice.
Limited,
thank you. Not much concern about Saquon Barkley's shoulder. He was also limited Thursday. Damian Harris with a hamstring was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. It's, quote, looking cloudy from a beat reporter. Rashad Penny.
Sounds like Damian Harris is not going to play.
No, yeah.
More on his teammate in a little bit.
I was just going to say, Ramandre is a smash this week. Faux show. Speaking of smashes, Rashad Penny smashed his fibula and is out for the season. So, get your Kenny Walkers. It's funny when I do these news notes, I'm like, this seemed like forever ago that this happened. I'm like, everybody knows about Kenny Walker, Chris. Waivers happened Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but we needed to include this because we haven't been live.
$65 he went, fab dollars he went for in our Friends with Benefits League. Someone in our Dynasty League said that in one of his redraft leagues he went for 71.
Yeah, I think it was 71. That's the one that was stuck in my brain. Honestly, I'm going to go on a limb and say well worth it.
Okay.
If I'm wrong,
we're not talking about Kenny. We're not talking about Kenny Walker here later. So if you want to talk about him here, now's the time.
I mean, just a couple quick tidbits. He was not a prolific receiver in college. DJ Dallas is going to get work. He might even get some of the work through the air just to spell a Walker. But I think Walker can catch. He just hasn't been really asked to. And it's not like DJ Dallas is like a prolific receiver. He, in fact, had a couple less catches in college than Walker did. And he's only
we thought that about J.D. McKissick, and look at what he's doing now. Just saying.
There you go. Where were we? Rashad Penny. Did I already say that? Oh, yeah, we just did Kenny Walker. Michael Thomas. Nope. I'm going to skip down here. How dare you? Second. Veteran running back Corey Clement is signing to the Cardinals practice squad per source. So that just kind of enforces, the condition of one James Conner.
I just gave my opinion on Corey Clement's entire career.
You might want to warm that old yawning hand back up again, sir, because the 49ers have signed Tevin Coleman to the 53-man roster and released a backup quarterback in a corresponding move. It's all my running backs, sir. So on to the receivers. Michael Thomas with a toe injury and Jarvis Landry with an ankle injury is not practicing on neither is practicing on Thursday. Their teammate Chris Olave at the same position with a concussion was seen at practice, open to the media today. So
I heard something. I'll call that limited. I thought he was going to be out this week, Chris Olave, but that was on Twitter by an unverified source. So
we'll get to it in a minute. I think Higgins might have been confirmed to be out just a couple moments ago. Somebody said it in Discord. Again, not confirmed. Let's push on here. Rashad Bateman with a foot was sidelined again Thursday. From the NFL Now, free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. wanted a Michael Gallup type offer from the Rams, which is why he's upset. But plenty of time to make it happen if both sides are still interested.
All right. Got to stop you real quick. This is okay. No, real quick. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who said after the Super Bowl, knowing and after his ACL injury, that he would take league minimum to go back to the Rams.
To try and run it back, try and get another ring.
Yeah. So put your money where your mouth is, Mr. Odell Beckham Jr. League minimum.
Yeah. And I included this because, I mean, whatever. Good player. Supposed to be a good team. I think it's more of a referendum on Allen Robinson's corpse.
You hate Allen Robinson.
He hates playing good football. Have you looked at his numbers? It's ridiculous. Speaking of the Rams, Cooper Kupp, with his foot injury, was listed as a did not practice, but he is expected to play.
Yeah. I was like... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Cooper should be fine. Kupp should be fine. Tiggins was a did not practice Thursday, ankle. Like I said, I feel like he's leaning out, but I have not got confirmation yet. Wide receiver Drake London with a knee injury, and Kyle Pitts with a hamstring injury were both at Falcons practice today, so good signs there. Pitts, a little bit of... Anyway, Pitts was limited Thursday. I don't have any further on London at this time.
Pitts would do everyone a favor.
They were both limited.
Pitts should do everyone a favor and not play, so they don't feel like they're forced to start him.
I almost said something before I read off the Pitts.
Which, by the way, don't start Kyle Pitts.
What's their matchup? I don't think it's good. You don't care though, do you?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look at tight end 10 through like 14, 15. Put Pitts in that area. Honestly. Yeah, you could.
But he's not, because you know why? Because he's at like tight end 40.
He's also been hurt, and that's by total points. Once
he was
hurt for one game. Hurt for one game.
He was at tight end 40 before last week.
Yeah, he's not playing well. He's had one good game, one double-digit game. That's it. But hey, things change, man. Micah Parsons, he does not play tight end. He plays linebacker. I included this because he's best pass rusher in the league, and they play the Eagles this week. Micah Parsons' groin injury.
Biased opinion.
Did not practice, but expects to play. Pete Carroll, just get this, for your weekly dose of Pete Carroll bullshit that Josh absolutely loved. Dude, I should have put like Coleman and Pitts and Pete Carroll in a freaking row just for you, buddy. Pete Carroll says Drew Lock is nipping at Geno's heels. Are you?
Of course he is. Of course he is, because he's Drew Lock. He's the greatest quarterback since Russell Wilson.
We might talk
that's
about
not saying anything anymore.
We might talk about the tentative starter for the Seahawks, Geno, later. We'll just have to see. This is out of order. My apologies, or did I not copy paste it correctly? Not much concern about Saquon Barkley's shoulder. He was limited Thursday. I actually might have included that already. Anyway, just lost my place. Didn't I already say the Corey Clement stuff? Oh yeah, I did not copy and paste this up. Here's some out-of-order stuff. Devontae Adams, he's a receiver, has been charged with a misdemeanor assault after shoving a cameraman following the Raiders' loss versus the Chiefs. Suspension?
In more serious news, the NFL will call his bye week his suspension week too.
Yo, that's the big thing. If he because it'll come down before I assume they play Sunday. Before Sunday, he could miss 2 games in a row.
Did you see that?
Because of suspension and a bye, meaning he could have a suspension this weekend, and he's on bye next week.
No, the NFL won't do anything.
I think he's going to get a game.
No. Yep. Did you see the video of it?
Yeah, I mean it was dumb on Devontae's part. I heard there was an angle though, not the main angle, but I heard there was an angle where it was like, and the cameraman did nothing wrong. Let me be clear, but I think the second camera angle kind of showed that he didn't really give Devontae anywhere to like go left or right to avoid a slap.
Yeah, he walked like literally right out in front of him. And was Devontae in the right to shove the guy? No. But also, was it like shoving him across the room? No.
Oh, not at all. But
it was. I would not call it. I would not call it. I'm not defending his actions by no means. But I'm also not calling it a violent shove either.
No, not at all.
let's all roll our eyes at this, and I bet
I'm not going to exactly roll my eyes because I think there's certain things when you work for a company, when you work for a business, when you work for the biggest business. I take that back. I don't know if he works for the NFL. Could have been a newspaper. I have no idea. But sometimes by the HR department, you are required to like press charges or file something with HR or something like that. Like not to this extent, but I've worked for companies where there's rules and I'm like, what if I'm fine? What if nothing happened? What if it wasn't a big deal? Sorry. Care. You know what I'm saying? So I would not doubt in the least. However, I think because a misdemeanor is a criminal court. It's not civil. The guy's not suing Devontae for like $2 million or something insulting like that. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, the shove was garbage. It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. But it was a bad look by Devontae, and I wonder if this photographer is required to do something. We've got a
regardless.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got ZC Works, aka Don, in the comments asking for a friend Mahomes or Cousins for Sunday. Who you got? I mean, I'm smashing Mahomes every week. Yeah, almost probably regardless matchup. In fact, this is a great opportunity to mention this. I've been picking up on a lot of this in fantasy from analysts lately. We love to wait on quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But this year is a little bit different. The top three, I think it is, Hurts, Allen, and Mahomes, are so far ahead of 4 through like 12 or further. Like they're so far ahead of them in points. It's actually caused a bit of a premium at the position, kind of like a Kelsey or an Andrews at tight end.
This has been an anomalous year though. So
agreed. Let's
not start jerking our knees too much.
Yeah, you still want to wait on QB, but it didn't work out for some folks this year. Let's put it that way. Onward and upward. I'm almost done. Oh, where were we? Adams. Tyreek Hill is wearing a walking boot on his left foot. Mike McDaniel, his coach, said he was stepped on late in the game, but he's been dealing with this and was a full participant Wednesday in practice. So I assume
Coach Mike McDaniel said Tyreek Hill didn't want to play with a third-string quarterback.
Did he actually say that?
No, I'm joking.
I was going to take this opportunity to say, have you ever watched a Mike McDaniel press conference?
No, of course not.
Do yourself a favor and start watching Mike McDaniel press conferences.
I'm going to do myself a favor and continue with my current policy of not watching press conferences. I know.
Raiders are signing veteran wide receiver Albert Wilson to their active roster. Raiders tight end Darren Waller hamstring has been ruled out. This was 3 days ago. Like they were just like, nope, you're just on the shelf for a while. So the Panthers, I'd say this for later, whatever. The Panthers have fired Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes.
I'm sorry. The Raiders ruled out
Darren Waller for hamstring injury
for week 6 in their bye week.
That's such an old update that it was from the previous game. Oh, they played Monday night. That's why. That's why. My bad.
Called you on your BS.
Well, my BS, my legit mistake. I backtrack, on the timeline, if you will, and I stop at about when the Monday or Sunday games are being played, and there's a bunch of like in-game updates, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't need those.
Anyways,
last thing is Panthers fired Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes will work as interim head coach. Fun fact, he's part of the lawsuit versus the NFL with Brian Flores, the former Dolphins coach.
Fun fact, Steve Wilkes was a terrible head coach in Arizona.
I think Steve Wilkes was a coach for a bad Arizona team and got one fucking year. That's ridiculous.
And you know what? And now I'm gonna backpedal. So excuse that beeping sound you hear in the background. I think he was maybe a subject to bad front office too, because I believe he was part of the front office that drafted Josh Rosen as what was it, like 6th overall or 10th overall, 6th or 10th overall, I can't remember which. And that dude has had chances at many teams and has not even
as a coordinator. That was his only head coach.
I was talking about Josh Rosen.
Oh, my apologies.
Josh Rosen has had many chances on many teams and hasn't even sniffed being a starter outside of major injuries in front of him.
Yeah. So, I have no idea if Wilkes is a good or great or bad coach. I honestly don't. I'm just saying he got a raw deal. And hey, maybe he gets a chance to prove himself here. I just thought it was interesting that he's a part of that lawsuit. He could have been like, no, I don't want to put more bad stuff on my resume. This is the Panthers, folks. They're awful. All right, so that's my news.
I'm going to start with the running backs, Chris.
Let's go. Oh, hold on. We got a couple questions in the audience. And is the Steelers tight end actually going to play this? Freiermuth, or however you spell it, says ZC. You know what I do, ZC? I just say Muth.
I just spell it right.
Schultz is just, he's hurt, and he hasn't been good. Yeah, I'd go Muth. Is he going to play? I don't have an update for him. My apologies. We'll get on to his running backs, and then I'll look it up while he's talking, and we'll go from there, Mr. Olter. Go right ahead, Joshua, please.
Mr. Works.
Mr. Works. I don't know why I did that. That was weird. I'm so weird.
Anyways, so my first running back is, I'm going out of order since I already gave you my notes. I'm going to go with Travis Etienne versus the Colts this week. Already this week, Etienne is being lauded on Twitter as, for his usage last week. I'm not calling it a changing the guard between Robinson and Etienne here, but Etienne has now outsnapped Robinson in the last 2 weeks, but not by a significant margin by any means. 42 to 43.5% on average over the last 2 weeks. That's not a big difference here. So they're more or less, we'll just call it like a close to a 50-50 split. But Etienne has outscored J-Rob too. Maybe the winds are changing in the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield, but I actually like both backs this week. Even though Etienne has outsnapped Robinson in week 1 against the Colts, J-Rob scored 19.4 points to Etienne's 6.5. Like I said, I like both backs this week, but Robinson's efficiency has been trending down while Etienne's has been trending up. The Colts may only be allowing 17 points per game this week, but they're also giving up the 6th most receptions to backs, and that's why I'm giving Etienne the leg up over James Robinson. What's your first wide receiver, Mr. Lawler?
First wide receivers. What order do I want to go in? What's the low-hanging fruit?
Start in the middle and then go to the best and then the worst.
I listened to you last week. It was a disaster. I felt so off kilter. I'm just going to start at the top. Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, Kirk set season lows across the board last week with targets, receptions, etc. Last week versus the lowly Texans. And prior to the Texans game, his yardage had been declining every week. Not great. True. He got a couple scores in there, to be clear. He was still having good fantasy days, but the yardage has really been kind of tanking lately. And culminated. I can't talk, Josh. Culminating. Thank you. Culminating in that Texans game I just mentioned. But 2 of his games have come versus, I don't know, good to really good defenses in Philly and the Chargers. Although one of those is actually a pretty decent fantasy game, as I mentioned just a moment ago. To make matters worse, the Colts are tied for number 1 in fantasy points per game given up to the wide receiver position. Now, why should you start him? Well, first off, as we mentioned earlier in the show, bye weeks have begun, and some notable wide receivers not playing this week include Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, and Brandon. That's not right. Is Devontae Adams on bye this week?
Yes.
Oh, I misspoke earlier. Devontae Adams and Brandon Cooks. Trevor Lawrence had a nice game both last year in his rookie debut versus the Colts in week 1. And this year in week 2, they've already played him, which is weird. They're playing each other like within 4 or 5 weeks. It's so weird. I just lost my... Both Lawrence and Kirk played very well a few weeks ago playing the Colts. Kirk putting up his best game of the season with catching all 6 of his targets for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's that big multi-score game I was talking about. The star corner for Indy is Stefan Gilmore. He does not follow wide receivers into the slot, which is where Kirk spends the vast majority of his time. So I like Kirk to bounce back this week. Should be a top 24 guy easily.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's go with the aforementioned Ramandre Stevenson. Let's start with the matchup for Mr. Stevenson. He's playing the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are giving up 24.7 points per game to RBs, 3rd most in all of the NFL. They're only giving up 22 receptions on the year to running backs, which is well in the bottom half for across the league. But as far as receptions allowed to running backs, but still 24.7 points per game probably no Damian Harris. Chris, I looked at multiple websites here. Ty Montgomery is on IR, and those are the three running back. And Damian Harris is looking like he might not play. And even if he does, probably going to be very limited. I have it that he's going to miss multiple games. That's what I could find in the news about Damian Harris, is that he's expected to miss multiple weeks. So who's that other guy on the team that's you? And okay, and this is going to be Bill Belichick.
Are you asking me, or are you about to tell me? Because I have no idea.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. This is going to be so Bill Belichick, though. Bill Belichick. It's going to be some guy they pull off the practice squad that no one's ever heard of, and ends up scoring like 19 points.
Yeah.
And Ramandre Stevenson is just on the sideline with his arms folded, like, you know, like just standing there pouting away. Regardless, Ramandre Stevenson, no Damian Harris, no Ty Montgomery, no competition that we can see on paper. Literally 5 different websites I looked, and it was Ramandre Stevenson, Damian Harris, Ty Montgomery. That was it.
Crazy.
I'm like, okay. Oh, Pierre Strong. That was the other guy. Sorry.
Oh, I should have known that. The other one, I think he's on practice squad. I don't think they released him off practice squad. I know this because, or I think I know this because he's on my dynasty roster. Kevin Harris, I believe his last name. Kevin Harris.
Oh, yes, the other
South
Harris.
Carolina. Rookie. Just came from South Carolina.
Chris, look at us figuring this stuff out.
I know, right? In the brain somewhere. I think he's
dude, we're the shit.
6th round pick. Dude, I love the draft. I love dynasty.
anyways, so regardless, Ramandre Stevenson is dealing with Pierre Strong, who I liked as a prospect coming out of college, but Bill Belichick hates rookies, so you're probably not going to see a lot of Pierre Strong.
No.
Maybe. I mean, if I remember serves correct, Pierre Strong did get some passing work in college, so maybe Belichick gives that to Strong just to kind of spell Ramandre Stevenson. But it'll
be limited. It'll be
real limited, and maybe Kevin Harris gets a rush or two just to.
He may not even be in the active roster. I would have to look into that, but please continue.
The fact that I couldn't find it on any depth chart across 5 different websites, one of which was the Patriots website, another one was ESPN, Our Lads, NFL.com.
Ooh,
like
that's crazy.
Yeah. I know you like that one, so I looked because you're like, dude, just knew you were gonna be like, did you look at Our Lads? And I'm like, yes, I did.
I think like 2 or 3 years ago, I talked to the guy who runs it like on Twitter for like. So ever since then, I'm like, you guys are the best. Thank you for acknowledging my existence.
I talked to you on Twitter for a second.
No.
I liked your tweets.
Yeah, right. Give me some reciprocation. No, to be clear, they've I don't know about lately, but they have been touted as kind of the quote go to, but it's not important. Yeah, no. First of all, I'm a huge Ramandre fan, just in a big picture way, just because when you get that player you're kind of on early. You feel like you're on that player earlier than everybody else. Not necessarily true. I'm just saying that's how it felt. So yeah, dude, I'm a big Ramandre fan.
I was that way with Monte Ball, Rashad Penny.
Are you being?
What's that one dude out of Alabama? TJ Yeldon.
Oh my God, you're just naming bad players. You're just self-deprecating yourself.
Jabin Best. I was really on him.
Okay, he is actually pretty darn good for a whole minute. And actually, Yeldon had been a vet who was always going to get a job in the NFL and was a good receiver with a big body out of the backfield. However,
I really liked Jamarcus Russell too coming out.
That's not a. Oh my God. Okay, next segment.
Roy Williams. I kind of liked him as well.
All right. Anyway, receivers. I'll make this one relatively quick.
For you, Pickens. So it's going to be 10 minutes instead of 12.
Dude, it's only like 3 paragraphs, so just buckle up. I'm kidding. I actually said that because it's the shortest one of all of them.
Oh my
George
God.
Pickens. I know. Rookie quarterback versus a good defense. What am I thinking? Well, let's talk about Pickens himself first. While posting a 76% snap share on the season, Pickens has averaged catching 6 of his 8 targets for 92.5 yards in the past 2 games with Pickett at quarterback, and had seen 3 straight games of 7+ targets leading up to this last week. Leading up to last week versus Bills. Last week versus Bills, the Steelers were embarrassed, like destroyed. But Pickett threw 52 times because, trying to come back, garbage time, etc. for 327 yards. I actually expect a very similar game script this week versus Tampa, aka garbage time. I like Pickens as a flex / top 36 guy with upside this week. That's all I got.
Who are the Steelers playing this week?
Buccaneers.
Okay, I can get down with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
not the best matchups, but they're gonna have to throw, man. They're gonna have to throw.
also not the worst either.
Oh yeah, the worst is next. You just wait, buddy.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my low-hanging fruit on the week. I'm going with Leonard Fournette versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why I asked who the Steelers are playing, I don't know. This is not a troll against your pick last week and Rachaad White, Chris. And at first I thought this wasn't low hanging fruit, but then it kind of is because I saw that Leonard Fournette was like RB7 on the year. I was like, oh. Anyways, let's circle back around.
Really good. I have to eat a little bit of crow there. Go right
ahead. But let's circle back around to Rachaad White, your pick from last week. You weren't exactly wrong. I think that you were maybe wrong in the sense that
a little early, maybe. Week or two.
Well, in the sense that you're like, well, he's playable. I would say he's more rosterable than playable.
Agreed.
I'm going to go with rosterable,
especially after last week,
and especially if you're a Lenny Fofo manager. After the last 2 weeks, Rachaad White has been on 38 and 39% of the Bucs snaps. Not great, but and that would dramatically go up if playoff Lenny misses any time. But let's shift back to Leonard Fournette here because he's the guy I want to focus on. He is giving up snaps to Rachaad White. He's still out touching Rachaad White. 10-8 in week
points last week.
He out touched Rachaad White 10-8 in week 4, 24-8 in week 5. But Leonard Fournette is also getting 14.5% of the team's target share. That's tied for 4th most amongst all running backs.
Great stat.
It's an average matchup against the Steelers, who are giving up the 13th most points to running backs. But maybe the Bucs do run Rachaad White a little bit more. So many R's
because they'll be up by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with Fournette here until proven otherwise.
I would assume Fournette would help them get there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Dude. Watch it be this weird game where somehow the Steelers are still in it,
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyways, who's your next guy, Chris?
One quick update here. I'm not sure if ZC's still in chat. A little quick thing on Freiermuth here. Yes, he's in concussion protocol right now. Here's what concerns me. Not necessarily this week, because I think he's probably the pick over Schultz. To answer your question, ZC, I think it's Freiermuth over Schultz. Freiermuth has 2 concussions last season, his rookie year. So that's 3 concussions within his first 2 seasons. And when I say 2 seasons, obviously, we're only
season
5.
Season and a half.
It's even darn near a quarter, really.
Season and a third.
And he had 1 concussion in his career at Penn State. I have no details on when that was. It was a senior year, freshman. I have no idea.
I believe it was while he was at Penn State.
No, that's what I said. In his career at Penn State, he had 1. He had 2 last year with the Steelers.
You said you didn't know when it was.
1 in his entire career at Penn State.
I don't know. You didn't know when it was, and I said while he was at Penn State.
Okay. I have no idea if it was the day he walked onto the field as a freshman or the day he left as a senior. I have no idea. That's significant. But more significantly is that's not good, folks. And again, more significantly, in today's climate, after what happened to Tua. Yeah, man, I'm not sure he's going to play for a bit, Mr. Freiermuth. I don't know if he should. That's scary. Middle linebackers, tight ends get hit a lot, man. Running backs, obviously, too. All right, on to my next receiver, sir. I mentioned a moment ago,
who don't get hit a lot? Place kickers.
Unless they talk back. No, I'm just kidding.
Just saying.
I mentioned before you went on to your previous running back, Mr. Lenny Fournette, that I was going to give you a...
Lenny Fofo?
I was going to give you a, how did I put it? Something like a bad one.
An ultimatum?
No.
A wet willy?
Now. Let's move on. DJ Moore. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Oh, dude.
I know.
You could not quit him. You have a DJ Moore problem.
Come on, I haven't mentioned him all year. Once. Literally. I mean, he's still on roster because what I'm going to do, he's getting 8 to 10 targets, whatever. Anyway, let's see what I got here. Let's just keep an open mind and see what I've got here. Recommending you start 2022 DJ Moore with PJ Walker as his quarterback versus a good defense. But are the Rams actually a good defense? Spoiler alert.
No, not really.
No,
not against wide receivers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's be realistic. DJ Moore is nothing more than a bye week fill-in spot start at this point in this season with his surrounding cast in a good matchup. He's just that kind of a guy right now. But that's exactly what this is. It's a good matchup. The Rams are giving up the 5th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers on the season, and number one wide receivers have had huge days versus them over the past few weeks. Diggs, Drake London, Debo, CD averaged. That's not correct. Average catching 8 of 11 targets for 103 yards, and 3 of them scored.
Shit, all right.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game. And hey, who knows? Maybe they play inspired football for Steve Wilkes, the new interim head coach. I like DJ Moore as a bye week fill-in top 36 kind of guy this week. So there you have it. That was actually really short.
You know what?
Sorry.
Chris, I'm obviously, I said this earlier. I must be off my game today, man.
You're agreeing with me again?
I can get down with that.
I think you're going to love my next 2 then, but please go ahead with your next one. Sir.
Oh my God, am I going to ghost add you after the next 2? Jesus. Okay, my next 2 are backup guys, but the backup guys that you can start. Chris, you talked about James Conner potentially missing this week, and that should lead to a little Benjamin. Obviously, this comes with a caveat that if James Conner is out, but even if he is going to play, how much is he going to play with a rib injury? And I mean, there was someone recently that had a rib injury. They sat out. I can't remember who it was.
Not Connor? Oh, jeez.
It was a running back, and I'm now blanking. I knew I should have wrote it down. Anyways. So even then, Connor's probably going to see some limited touches against the Seattle's D. Plus matchup, you got it. The Seattle Seahawks are giving up 23.8 points per game, which is the 5th most so far. Benjamin is not exactly oozing with running back talent.
Peyton.
But this is based on more the fact that there's bye weeks, matchup, and opportunity. And in the past, man, we've seen average backups come in on bye weeks that are filled with running back injuries and come in and be, top 24, even top 12 RBs, Like this is the kind of matchup when you mix all these 3 things together, a bye weeks matchup and opportunity, there is some good chances that, Benjamin is a real great spot start this week. Maybe some low hanging fruit. Everyone all over Twitter is all about, Benjamin, but here's the thing. Benjamin also scored 12.8 points against an average to above average Eagles run D, and that was after James Conner went out.
I would call him a straight up good run D.
He wasn't. Numbers say that they're average. They're somewhere in average to above average. Anyways,
okay.
That's just numbers though. He wasn't super efficient with the touches he got, averaging just with 3.1 yards per carry. But Benji did catch 3 of his 4 targets as well, so that's encouraging too. Kyler doesn't throw to the running back. I guess he does a little bit more for a mobile quarterback, but so you get 4 targets on top of whatever rushing yards that Benji's going to get here this week. I like it. I mean, Darrell Williams is going to be in the mix probably here and there. I
think he's hurt. I think he's already confirmed out. I can't believe I didn't include that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so dude, better.
I'll bet that right now. Go ahead.
That was done.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think he's out. We'll get to that later when we can. Let me mid something. Where were we next? I was going to say one thing about Benjamin. I think he's a pretty decent receiver out of the backfield. Like, above average. Like, there's a lot of running backs that just, like, literally go out there and just stand there like, like it's...
They run a wheel route. They turn around, look at the quarterback and say, throw me the ball, coach.
Yeah. Or just a check down of sorts or a flat. And they just... They can't turn up field quickly like a good receiver can, like literally a wide receiver.
Or they don't even turn around and the ball clangs off the back of their helmet. And
no yak whatsoever. Yeah, Benjamin's decent at that. Benjamin's above average at that. All right, on to my next receiver. Allen Lazard. Despite missing week 1 with an injury, Lazard is 16th in target percent among wide receivers inside the 10-yard line. That is the percent of the team's red zone targets going to the receiver inside the 10. He is tied first among wide receivers for red zone TDs with 3. Again, missed 1 week in the beginning. Again, inside the 10. And he's 6th in reception percentage among wide receivers with more than 1 red zone target inside the 10. He's caught, basically meaning he's caught 3 of his 4 red zone targets inside the 10. So he's exactly what we thought he'd be. A great red zone target for Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I would make the argument he's kind of replaced Tunyon, because Tunyon had that hot year a couple years ago or whatever it was. Like, he is their red zone guy. Or you could throw Dubs out there too. Dobbs. Dang it.
I thought you called him Dumps. I'm like, who?
I said it with a B. I said it fast. Yeah. They get the Jets this week, which rank a respectable 16th in fantasy points per game given up to the wide receiver position.
Defense has not been terrible this year.
No, absolutely.
It's not great, but it's not terrible either.
Yeah, and have given up the 5th fewest receptions, and Sauce Gardner is playing pretty well. There's another corner on the other side that's playing pretty well. But Sauce Gardner, man, oof.
The other guy.
Yeah. I just didn't include him because I just think Sauce Gardner is an awesome name, and he's a high draft pick. I think he's an awesome dude. He's playing well.
He's top 10, wasn't he?
The last 2 QBs they played was Kenny Pickett / Trubisky and Teddy Bridgewater. And Pickens had a what? Oh, and Pickens had a nice game, as mentioned earlier when I talked about Mr. George Pickens. He had a nice game with Pickett throwing him the ball. That's so hard to do. With a respectable over-under of 45.5 points and the Packers being 7.5 points favorites, I love Lazard to get some red zone opportunities and convert at least 1, making him a top 24 receiver for me this week. Real quick, while I'm touching on over-unders, I meant to mention on your last matchup, can you take a guess who the second highest over-under of the week is? I just told you the answer, basically. Our Arizona Cardinals at Seattle Seahawks. 50.5 points. I think that bodes well for your Benjamin tout there.
Wow, we're going to really bank on them scoring that many points. Okay.
50.5.
I'd go the under if I was a bet man.
Seahawks
what do I know?
Really good on offense. Better than the Cardinals. Like, I think Cardinals is the whatever you want to call it, the one you need to be concerned out there.
My last running back, Chris, plays in the AFC West. Can you guess who he is? It's not Austin Eckler.
RB in the AFC West.
He may not be the starter.
Jacobs is on bye, isn't he?
May not be the starter.
On the tip of my tongue, AFC West. No, you're not going to say Mike Boone, are you?
It's Mike Boone.
Yes,
the Chargers.
Yes.
This is Mike Boone, and then
wrong screen.
And then we'll also throw in Melvin Gordon too. But I want to talk about Mike Boone because people have spent money to get Mike Boone, not the $65 fab dollars for like Kenny Walker or anything like that.
No,
but people. I mean, I myself picked up Mike Boone. Like he's like I watched that game last week with the Colts and the the Broncos, and Mike Boone looked like he had burst. Like so. I like Mike Boone looked like he was the Tony Pollard to Melvin Gordon's Ezekiel Elliott. And even then, Melvin Gordon looks better than Zeke. Barely, but, better. The Chargers giving up the most points to fantasy running backs. This is now Melvin Gordon's backfield, but Mike Boone, like I said, looked pretty... Hello?
You okay?
Yeah, what was that?
Did you hear something?
Yeah.
I have an answer, I guess. My audio got staticky. My audio got staticky for a minute. I don't know if it carried over the recording or not, but it's fixed now.
Okay, that was weird. Anyways, like I said, Mike Boone looked like he had burst and speed to the extent that Melvin Gordon necessarily doesn't anymore in his career. I mean, Melvin Gordon still Melvin Gordon looks a lot better this year and part of last year than he did in like 20 or no, he looks a lot better this year than he did last year, being a year older. I don't know what he did, but he looks good. He looks better. Anyways, last week Melvin Gordon outsnapped Mike Boone 56 to 41%. That's not that big of a difference. And Melvin Gordon did outtouch Boone 18 to 10, but 10 touches ain't nothing, man. Like I mentioned earlier, the Chargers are giving up the most points to running backs. I don't have it marked down how many points they're giving up. But, you know, if you're giving like a more or less a 60-40 split to Mike Boone and Mike Boone's getting 40%, that's a startable running back. And that's a startable running back like I was talking about with Eno Benjamin too. You know, like Gordon's gonna get his work. You know, he's gonna get it.
Slim, dude. Pickens are slim, no matter how.
And Pickens are slim. Like, I mean, I made a comment on Twitter after like week 2 that I was like, someone was like, "Oh, I wish, bet you wish you would have went wide receiver, or no running back." I'm like, I wish you would have went running back 6 picks in a row because there ain't nothing on waiver wires. Even in a 10-team league, ain't nothing on waiver wires. Anyways, we got a question here real quick, Chris.
Oh, my bad.
Would you trade Tyreek and Lenny for CMC and CD? I'm going to assume redraft, perhaps.
If it's redraft, no. I mean, Dynasty, yes, I would. Yes, I probably would. But this year, redraft, no, absolutely not. Tyreek and Lenny are better, and you know how much I've been pushing back on Leonard Fournette. He's playing great. If they're going to dump it off to him, freaking 10 times. Like you said, what was the stat, Josh? He's leading, or was it just that week or for the season? He's
for the season
target percent or something.
No. He's 5th amongst all running backs with team target percentage at 14.5. Doesn't sound like a lot of team targets,
but he's a running back.
If you're getting, but you're also the running back, and you also have Tom Brady as your quarterback, who has notoriously throughout his career thrown to running backs.
Yep. Which is why Lenny was so awesome last year. Well, not the only reason.
But one of the reasons. Yeah.
One of the main reasons. But he's also a tough runner. He's also a big runner. Still. Yeah, no, I like that. Good question there, Jackson. Check the links below. Check out our Discord if you need to post a question via text or what have you. What do I got? Got one guy left, don't I? You finished up, didn't you? This is my lowest hanging fruit, sir. Gabe Davis. In Davis's first healthy game since week 1, he dominated, posting a ridiculous stat line of 3 catches on 6 targets for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the longest passing touchdown in Bills' history of 98 yards. It's simple. He's just too good not to start when he's healthy, and this week he gets the Chiefs, who are giving up the 7th most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position, and the 9th most passing yards, and the most passing touchdowns on the season. I mean, what do you more want? Davis is a must-start top 12 wide receiver this week. Get him in your lineup. That easy.
Huh. I mean, I guess I see your point of it being
he's a top 12 easily. Top 12 easy.
I guess I wouldn't have thought of him being as low-hanging fruit necessarily.
Well, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, if I'm going to include... I don't do this always, but usually when I include a low-hanging fruit, I like him to have some drama. Like him to have been hurt, have been banged up, playing injured.
He has a couple bad games. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, for sure. Between week 1 and last week, yes, he's definitely got some bad games.
You mean between those? Yeah. Okay,
yeah. Week 1 was fine, and last week was amazing.
Chris,
in between that was mediocre, if you will.
Yes. Shall we move on to some tight ends?
Yes, I think you're up first.
I don't have 27 tight ends.
Good. I have 2.
I have 2 as well. My first one is George Kittle. It is the opposite of low-hanging fruit. This fruit is so high in the air.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Falcons, and this is based on this. This is shit or get off the pot time for George Kittle. The Falcons are giving up
why I like that you included him. Yep.
The 5th most fantasy points per game, 10.7 to the tight end position. The average stat line for tight ends the Falcons are giving up are 6.8 receptions, 70 yards, only a 0.2, so a touchdown 20% of the time. But, roughly 7 receptions for 70 yards. George Kittle's surely going to score a touchdown on that, right? But that's
he gets that much opportunity, yeah.
I'm willing to concede that Kittle may have come back from his groin injury a week or two too soon. You know, NFL players usually do. So I'm willing to give Kittle the benefit of the doubt here. Kittle's snap percentages in the 3 games that he has played this year is 91, 94, and 88%. So he's out there and he's on the field. And 2 of those games too were against Carolina, which is a negative tight end matchup, and the Rams, who give up the least amount of points to tight ends. So he's had two out of 3 games he's played have been bad matchups for tight ends. So, and like I said, those are the last 2 weeks, and then week 3 maybe came back a little too soon. So I'm looking to see that. I think that this is the game where Kittle gets going here. It's a good matchup. I'm guessing he's finally healthy with the groin thing. You know, it's start Kittle this week, and if he craps the bed, get him off your team. Trade him away. Get him for get a bag of balls for him. I don't know that, or just hold him, and then he's just your scarlet letter. You know, he's your cross to bear throughout the season in case he does go off. But dude, it's been rough. But I think that there's been a reason. The reasons I already said of why it's been rough for him. Can you get down with Kittle this week, Chris? After all of that. Hello? I can't hear you.
My apologies that my child was coming down here, so I muted myself earlier and forgot.
I thought I heard an Emmy.
Did you? Okay. I'm surprised the mic picked her up. Anyway, where was I? So I wanted to mention something about Kittle. Yes, I'm on board this week. Basically a do or die. I agree with you 100%.
I guess like I don't know if it's quite do or die just because of bad matchups. Maybe coming back a little too early from injury.
That might be more saleable advice is that I think maybe they brought him back too soon. But I have no idea. I really don't. We can't know. We're not the San Francisco team doctor. But what I'm saying in terms of a streamer, this is technically supposed to be a streamer, and Kittle's still like, I don't know, 92% owned, 88%.
It's supposed to be streamers.
I love that you included him because it was a salient talking point about, like you said, do or die.
I think it's more of a it's supposed to be about streamers, but I mean, if you've had Kittle, you're thinking about streaming.
Absolutely. You know, that's a great way to put it. And I'll say that I'm a little bit of a spoiler alert. I was going to include this guy's teammate at quarterback, and I decided not to because of his roster percent. But I'll give him an.
Are you talking about Jimmy G? Almost threw him in there too.
No, somebody else. Probably more low-hanging fruit at this point. In fact, we mentioned him earlier. But let me go on to his tight end teammate, my first.
No. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Will Dissly. I'll make this one short. Dissly might be the most tight end. I'm sorry. I can't talk. The most touchdown-dependent tight end in the entire league. But he scored 3 out of 5 games. And it's been a sound strategy to target the tight end playing the Seahawks or the Cardinals each week. And that's exactly who he plays.
Dude, remember like... Sorry to interrupt, but do you remember like
almost done.
It was like 5-6 years ago, where maybe it was even longer ago, but it was like the Cardinals defense was so notoriously bad against tight ends that like people were planning, at least I was, were planning weeks in advance in picking tight ends up off the waiver wire just because they're like they get the Cardinals. Like it was like they were giving up like 15 points per game to the tight end position. It was historically terrible.
It was consistently bankable. Not only bankable, it was like a smash play.
And I think you know what happened? I think they got Buda Baker or something, and it got better.
Buda Baker improved. To be clear, they are second worst behind the Seahawks, giving up 15.9 to the tight end position. The Seahawks are giving up 23.6. Really bad. So obviously vice versa in this match.
Sorry to interrupt.
Dissly plays for the Seahawks. He's playing the Arizona Cardinals. But yeah, basically Dissly is a great tight end streaming option this week. You might get a touchdown. That's about all you can do for yourself in a week like this. And I will say this, and hey, Gino's on fire. Honorable mention to him for the quarterback streaming segment. I originally wanted to include him, but his roster percent was up to 74, and I just couldn't do that. The Cards ranked dead last in coverage grade according to
PFF. I almost threw Geno in myself.
Yep.
And actually I did a little bit, but anyways.
And so did I, because I just did an honorable mention, but I do have an actual streaming quarterback to mention when we get there.
Me too. My next tight end is Evan Ingram versus the Colts. Speaking of bad tight end defenses, the Colts are giving up the fourth most of tight ends, and that's 10.8 points per game. In week 2, when these teams first met this year, Ingram caught 7 of 8 targets for 46 yards. Not great. Ingram has yet to score a touchdown, but the Colts are allowing a touchdown in 80% of their games so far this year. So a touchdown to the tight end position, that is.
Of course.
So yeah. I'm guessing that Ingram has a pretty good chance to do so this year. His snap percentage is about 70% per game, which isn't great, but that's better than someone like Robert Tonyan. He was like in the 30s and 40s. He's not out there all that much. So, and Tunyan's a perennial dart throw at the tight end position. So why not Evan Ingram? The guys who's out there more than Robert Tonyan is, and has history, an okay record against the Colts already this year. And I don't think he has quite the drops that he had with the Giants this year so far. And he's in that conversation of,
it's just like a Will Disley, dude.
Tight ends 8 through 20 are almost all the same.
It might be close, but this next guy might actually be just under Evan Ingram in a context.
Go for it. Who is it?
My next guy is Irv Smith.
Ooh, I thought about him.
Did you? This was a tough one, but Smith had a little success earlier in the year and gets the Dolphins this week, who have given up the 9th most fantasy points per game to the tight end position and the 4th most receptions and the 7th most yards to the tight end position. He's as fine as a dart thrower as you're going to find at the tight end position, around that 12 to 14, 15 tight end range. And that's right where he kind of sandwiches in this week, in my opinion. So that was a kind of a short, sweet one. But yeah, Irv Smith is, if you're, I would say borderline desperate, throw out Irv Smith out there.
Chris, since we're about to talk about quarterbacks, I want to take the time to say that Carson Wentz, and feel free to edit this out, can go fuck himself. 4.3.
I dropped a couple.
4.35 points so far in this game.
Wow.
Fuck you, Carson Wentz.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think the league I picked up Geno in, and I definitely pulled Wentz.
I tried for Geno, and I got Wentz as a really shitty consolation prize. and this is in my work league where I am doing terrible.
Going back to that point earlier about waiting on QB.
I have Saquon Barkley and Stefan Diggs, and my team is awful.
Going back to that point earlier about waiting on QB, it hasn't been so great this year. I might be okay with Geno in our Friends with Benefits league.
It's been a weird league. It's been a weird year, man.
And then like ZTT league, I drafted Russell Wilson, and I'm rocking Wilson and Lawrence lately. I think I'm playing Lawrence this week.
We'll save this for the post recording, but anyways, so my quarterback stream of the week here is Chris. Brace yourself. Brace. Are you sitting down? Are you making 3 points of contact? So you don't fall over?
I'm literally holding on to my butt right now.
Okay. Daniel Jones versus the Baltimore Ravens. Daniel Jones is my stream of the week. The Ravens are giving up 22.5 points per game, which is the 4th most. In games against the Bears and the Titans, a.k.a. subpar passing defenses, Daniel Jones has averaged 19.83 points per game.
Stat, yeah.
The Ravens are giving up more points to the quarterbacks than either one of those two defenses. So I hate to say this, but is it Danny Dimes time?
Hey, you want to guess who my quarterback streamer of the week is?
Jimmy G?
No, Danny Dimes.
Oh, damn it.
The quarterback 14 on the...
I thought I was going to make you like poo your pants or something.
I know. Well, remember, I was going to go Geno. I was like, 74%? No. And I'd already been eyeballing Danny in another league. Anyway, Danny Dimes is a QB 14 on the year. Only Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson have more quarterback rushing yards than Danny's 46 per game. For those keeping score at home, that's 4.6 fantasy points in your back pocket. The Ravens have actually been improving in coverage and generally in defense lately, but have given up a quarterback rushing score in 3 straight games. So you can almost bank on that. And in case you haven't heard, the Ravens are pretty darn good on offense and score a lot of points. I absolutely expect the Giants to have to throw to keep up or come back or garbage time or whatever the heck you want to call it. If you need a quarterback stream this week, he is only 26% rostered. You can go pick him up right now and play him. Over.
I can't believe we came up this did the same.
Let's do this or that real quick since we talked about the same guy. Russell Wilson or Danny Dimes? Daniel Jones, to be clear.
Who are the Broncos playing again?
Question. I have an NFL schedule
the Chargers. Ooh.
Yep, that is correct. Pretty good defense. Some of the numbers aren't so great for Chargers, but man, they get after the passer pretty well. And that's a Monday night game, so you gotta. That's all the only option you got. And he's hurt. He's nursing his shoulder, to be clear, Mr. Russell.
Daniel Jones, I guess.
Exactly. How about Lawrence? Lawrence or Daniel Jones?
I almost made Lawrence one of my honorable mentions here, but he had like 72%. He was 72%.
I was very strongly considering him too. Yep.
I would go Lawrence under Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson.
Oh, so you're going Jones, Russell, Lawrence?
Yes.
I like how I alternated freaking last and first names. That's so weird. I've always called Russell Russ or Russell anyway.
Well, we're on his first name basis with Russ, you know?
I think I would go...
He's Mr. Limited.
I would go Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Russell.
Huh. Interesting.
I hope I eat my words, man. I hope he comes back. He's still on my roster in that league, so I need him to do something, but I've got Lawrence.
Who's that?
Russell.
Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't been that great the last couple of weeks.
He
so
hasn't.
I'm just...
Hey, he's so that's great when he plays the Colts, though. Pretty great when he plays the Colts, and guess who he plays this week? That's also why I chose Kirk. No, that wasn't the only reason, to be clear. I had other very good reasons that I
Anyways, I have a couple honorable mentions here, one of which is the aforementioned Jimmy G is playing the Falcons, who are giving up 18.8 quarterback points per game to the quarterback. He's about 30% rostered, so Jimmy G. I wanted to say Geno Smith, but he was up to 70% the last time I looked, and that was on Sleeper. So, yeah, if you picked him up, good for you. Start him over the last 3 weeks. Geno's averaging over 27.5 points per game. Chris, you just picked him up, and then in our Friends with Benefits league, so I'm pretty sure he's going to get injured in the first quarter, and then it's Drew Lock time, and Drew Lock's going to still outshine Russell Wilson.
I will literally quit fantasy football if that happens this week. I'm done. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. You got a sleeper for us, buddy?
Yep. Why don't you do yours first, though? Just to mix things up.
I will talk about the aforementioned Mike Boone. We touched on this a little bit already. Don't get me wrong. Gordon will get his work. Boone was outrushed 15-7, and they tied in targets last week. But I think there will be enough to go around, and then Mike Boone is the superior receiver of the two, and Boone has more juice. Josh touched on that earlier. I think he'll have a good chance at a big play in this one, a long run maybe a long screen pass. The Chargers have given up the most fantasy points per game to the running back position. I'm pretty sure Josh probably touched on that too. And running backs have been very efficient versus the Bolts. Backs are averaging a ridiculous 6.2 yards per carry and one rushing touchdown per game. Yeah, that might go to Gordon, but you might get some catches with Boone too. And through the air, they're really bad too. They give up the 4th most running back receptions and have surrendered 3 running back touchdown receptions already this year. So yeah, Mike Boone's my sleeper this week. I'm starting him in a league that I have some buys. Besides that, I don't know. I mean, do I have an asking for
don't you want to hear my sleeper this week?
Absolutely.
My sleeper this week that I totally didn't just come up with on the fly here is Randall Cobb, the slot receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He has
he's their guy lately.
He has PFF's 10th best matchup advantage, so that's good. And last week he was targeted 13 times by Aaron Rodgers, one of which was in the end zone, I think, if memory serves correct. He got 99 yards last week. So and this is also like they were saying before the game last week in London that they wanted to get Randall Cobb involved, and they did last week. Like, you know, a lot of times when coaches say that sort of shit that they want to just like, oh, we're going to get this player involved, and then they don't because, you know, they actually did. So I like them to continue to do so and going up against the Jets this week. So Randall Cobb is my sleeper this week that I totally didn't just come up with in the last 2 minutes.
I think this might be your best sleeper that you did not come up with in the last couple minutes of the year. I think Vegas is selling them a little short with a 45.5 point over under. Yeah, it's been scoring a bit lately. You know,
but two good but not great defenses, two offenses that are maybe not firing on all cylinders like you'd think they should be.
Mm-hmm. Packers at home.
The Jets and the Packers are probably having the same problem, and that's their offensive line. And Zach Wilson's, still young. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to forget it. I shouldn't even mention it. There was some stat I saw about Zach Wilson earlier that was actually.
Was it a
promising.
good stat?
Yes, it was. It was very promising. I mean, he's been yards at least. He's willing to chuck it, man. Not like, I know Flacco was throwing it a lot, but I feel like he was throwing it short a lot. But maybe I'm wrong.
Drew Lock?
That's all I got.
Are you talking about
what did I just say?
You said Lockett.
No, I didn't say Lockett.
Yeah, you did.
Zach Wilson is what I was talking about. He's been putting up some yards.
Flacco?
Yeah, Flacco is what I said. I said at least Zach Wilson's willing to chuck it. He's got a quicker release. Yes, Flacco was throwing a lot, but
I swear you said Lockett.
I think it was Flacco. I think something with the flock made you think luck. With Flacco. We're gonna call him Flacco from now on. New nickname. Cha-ching.
I'm calling shenanigans on all of this, and that you said Lockett.
Do we have any questions in the Chatterooski? Nope, not any new questions. Do we have any questions?
You know why we don't have questions in the Chatterooski? Because you just said Chatterooski. I want to quit the show because you just said that.
I'm going to start doing that all the time now. So, no, there's no questions in chat.
I have a
Discord.
I have a question, though.
You have an asking for a friend there, buddy?
I am asking for the friend that is me because I am the only friend that I have.
I am the only friend that I have. We're just acquaintances, folks. We just do this for the money. That doesn't exist.
So we constantly question why we actually do it.
Especially after a week like this for you. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I'm having some problems. James Conner is looking like he's probably not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't really play him. Should I play Etienne, who I was championing?
Included in your Fave 5, I believe.
Against the Colts, I have J.K. Dobbins as an option against the Giants, not a very good matchup. Or I can play Jerry Jeudy against the Chargers, which is a pretty good matchup. I also have Devin Duvernay, who has sneakily been pretty decent.
A good slot possession PPR guy. I think I'm going Dobbins. I understand the matchup's not great, but I think I'm just going to go with the best player. I think in the past I've been a little anti-Dobbins. There's the Achilles injury. He's over. I believe now.
He never had an Achilles. It was his knee.
Oh, I'm sorry. MCL, LCL, MCL, PCL, whatever it was. You're right. My bad. More significant than just an ACL. Let me put it that way. I misspoke. But I think he's over that. I think. And I understand it's not a great matchup, but I think he's a better player than I originally thought. And in this offense, yeah, I know he's not going to get the ton of red zone carries because of Lamar. I know Lamar doesn't dump it off a ton, but I don't know, man. I think I'm going Dobbins there. Yep.
Interesting.
I don't know what.
And I also have this. Like. I also have this option, which would be great if it actually came to fruition, where Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor are both limited in practice, and both might not play this week. I have Deion Jackson, who looked
this must be dynasty.
Yeah, he looked pretty darn good last week. Okay. After Nyheim Hines went down, I was like, seriously,
hey, there's a little bit of that in our Boone.
I'm like, who's this Deion Jackson guy?
There's a little bit of that in our Boone coverage. Boone looked good. I know it was limited, but man, he was efficient. He hit that hole. He had speed. So no, I don't hate it. But yeah, I'm going Dobbins over Deion Jackson, I believe it is.
Well, the other options were Jerry Jeudy.
Well, Dobbins had a stinker last week against Cincy, who's a good defense. Obviously, he had a great game against Buffalo, who's also a good defense.
I also have Tyler Boyd as an option against the Saints with no T. Higgins, or potentially no T. Higgins. So there's that. I know it's probably not the greatest matchup.
I think the Giants' run defense and really win-loss record, maybe mirage is a bit of a strong word, but I don't think they're as good as their record says they are. I don't think they're as good as...
Oh, that's right. Honey Badger plays in New Orleans now. Never mind. Tyler Boyd's out.
So, yeah, I think I'm okay playing Dobbins against the Giants, despite the numbers saying it's not a good matchup. I have any.
Anyways,
friends.
Did you stop the recording?
No, I forgot to.
Okay, well, let's do that now. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. You can always check us out live on the YouTubes at 8 p.m. Central Time, Thursday evenings, and on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m., right, Chris?
Got it.
I was late once last year, and I can never remember what time.
You were late because you got the time wrong. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always second guessing myself on it. Anyway, so I just show up at like 9 a.m. and I'm like, where the hell is Chris at?
Oh, you were early. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
You were early, then subsequently late to the on time.
Oh, now I just show up early. I just wake up at 4 a.m. on Sunday. I'm like, it's football time.
He just sits in Discord.
Just sitting there. I'm like, after a couple of hours, I'm like, it's 6 a.m. Where is he? You know? And then 8, I'm like, I'm starting to get mad. 9, I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. You know, screw this guy. Anyways, we're ending the show. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You can join our Discord, which that will be in the link. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshAFFB. You can follow Chris on Twitter at
Chris AFF. No, AFFB Chris.
There you
go. Dyslexic, folks. It's a condition. I'm sorry.
Until Sunday, which we hope to see you at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Good luck.
Adios. Real quick while I'm thinking of it. I know we're
okay.
Still
So
live.
that recording can stop like 10 minutes earlier, but okay.
A nice wrinkle that's going to happen when I eventually do the intro outro, even if it's just audio, because it'd be nice to have for the stream, is we don't even have to say bye. We just stop the recording at the appropriate time with a push of a button.
But I like saying
and then
goodbye.
Insert an outro saying, come back next week, blah, 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 blah.
I like it that it's
we can do that at the end of the actual stream.
No,
and then it's like nothing ever happened to the folks at home.
But it feels disingenuous. I hate a form goodbye. Hey, I like it if like follow so and so on Twitter. Blah blah blah. I like that part being a uniform one. But I like saying like, hey, goodbye everyone. Check us out on Sunday.
Theoretically, you could do a voiceover after the stream.
Theoretically, I could.
3 minutes. I could say also, obviously.
Anyways,
folks, for joining us.
We're still streaming, right?
Yes, we're still streaming. Do you have any more asking for friends or any salient talking points?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I'm gonna come up with them even quicker than I did with that sleeper.
Okay. So should I stick around and come up with one of my own?
Go ahead. Go ahead
and make my drink. Okay, I'll be back. Did I BRB? The screen? The scene?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay, we'll BRB, folks. Welcome back, folks. Sorry to keep you waiting. Looks like Josh is going to be another moment. I have a quote asking for a friend. Lineup decision, if you will. How about Adam Thielen or Devin Singletary? Devin Singletary plays at the Kansas City Chiefs, and Adam Thielen plays at the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins defense actually isn't bad, but I feel like they're not very good against receivers. Bet that real quick. Yeah, they are 11th in points per game, fantasy points per game given up to the wide receiver position. And again, oops, things are happening here. Lost the web. There we go. Thielen at Miami. No, sorry. Singletary at KC. Now let's take a look at that in these terms. Kansas City. Where are you? Oh yeah, they're bad against the running. Ooh, that's actually not a bad matchup. 6th, giving up 24.7 to the running back position. Fantasy points. Josh, I can see you're back. How about Adam Thielen or Devin Singletary? That's Devin Singletary. Give me a second. Get it pulled back up here. Go ahead.
You were cutting out there. What is it?
Can you hear me now? Devin Singletary or Adam Thielen? That's Singletary at the Kansas City Chiefs and Thielen at the Miami Dolphins. For a little bit of context, Kansas City versus the running back position.
Who are the Dolphins playing?
I keep switching windows instead of switching tabs. I'm so dumb. Adam Thielen at the Dolphins. The Vikings at the Dolphins.
Singletary.
And Singletary at Kansas City. You want Singletary? Yeah, Kansas City is pretty bad against the running back, apparently.
Well, that, and I think that the Vikings could easily get up big on the Dolphins.
So they don't throw. I'm literally changing it right now. I previously pulled Singletary. You know how Singletary is. Up and down. Disappointing. Good. Disappointing. Good. Wow, 7-3 at the beginning of the 4th. What a barn burner, folks.
Yeah. Dude, there's talks about, like, because I'm an idiot, and I'm an idiot, and I'm a sucker for NFL mock drafts. And so, like, I get bored sometimes, and I'm like...
NFL mock drafts, to be clear, not fantasy, right?
Yeah. So I get bored, and I'm like, I'll be watching TV. I'm like, what's a 2024 mock draft? And they have, like, a lot of people have, like, the Bears. What little mock drafts there are, have the Bears taken another quarterback in 2024 if they continue down this path.
Yeah, there was... Go ahead, sorry.
And I got to say, I was thinking about this, like, in our break, and I was just like... In which I was giving the dog her meds, so I apologize for the long absence there.
You're fine. I picked it up and got asking for a friend in there, which is the one we're talking about it right now, or we're talking about. Go ahead.
And I think that I wonder if Fields was more of a project than they initially thought. Like he wasn't quite, NFL ready as they thought. I think that the Bears' offensive line is so atrocious that they're not helping matters any.
I think I have 3 things to say. One, to your point you just made a second ago. I guess I could say far too often I feel like college quarterbacks, and this everybody knows this. It's not like this is breaking news. First of all, the talent around the said quarterback is, when you're at Ohio State, is so much better than all the other talent you play against. And then the talent you play against for, I don't know, a quarter or a half the year, because, they still play cush schedules in college football, as far as I know, for the first couple games, unless they sign a big contract to play a tough game to begin with.
It's odd because like the SEC kind of does that a little bit backwards, but yeah, go ahead.
That's true. They have been lately. That's a very good point. They used to do the exact opposite. To my point, used to, but no, yeah. So it's such a big jump, man. It's such a big jump, and we've been spoiled because we've seen multiple positions really starting to assimilate much sooner.
Wide receiver specifically.
Oh my God, wide receivers especially, but also quarterbacks. You know, your Josh Allens and your Mahomes.
But
Mahomes
no. Josh Allen was not very good in his first year, and even his second year was pretty shaky. And I'm pretty sure it was his third season that was.
I thought it was his second, which is why I said that. But that's a good point. Mahomes again, second year. We could name Herbert, first year, second year, et cetera. We could go down.
Herbert
the list.
was his first year, but yeah.
And so I said both, first and second. That's what I meant. He was
We're
put him right off the bat.
Second.
So yeah.
Third?
And the last thing I'll say is, yeah. I know. I was gonna say I was in Discord earlier when we were sharing the link for the show, and Shauner had a comment about Fields that was almost exactly on point of what both you and I were saying. I was like, we just talked about that. I'm concerned. I'm absolutely concerned. They might ruin the project, as you said. He might have been a longer term project, and they might have just ruined it, or in the process of it. And I forgot what B was. Sorry.
B was CA. Yeah, Josh Allen. Josh Allen was. It was his third year where he. I mean, his completion percentage was.
Yeah, I was just going to say, particularly his accuracy.
And like I remember us talking about it before the 2020 season in the infantile days of amazing fantasy football. Boy, we had to really learn to fall. I'm not saying that we're a giant amongst men, but regardless, like he jumped from 58.8% to 69.2%. Like that's a huge jump. And even then I was like, 1 year flash in the pan. Next year, 63.3%, but still yardage and touchdowns were the same or up there, right up there. Like the guys,
it comes to mind for me because that jump in accuracy and completion percentage for Josh Allen, I don't want to say it's unprecedented by any means, but that's not easy to do. And the first name that comes to mind for me is Jalen Hurts. So I'm looking up his completion percentage this year.
Yeah, but I mean, Josh Allen also struggled with accuracy in college.
67.8 for Hurts. He did. Big arm, big guy. Hurts is not the same quarterback or physical athlete that Allen is by any means.
But I mean,
Hurts was
Josh Allen also came from Wyoming, whereas Hurts came from Alabama and Oklahoma.
But his accuracy and completion percentage was garbage in school. He ran a lot. But I was wrong. And he's showing me this year, and he's got 67.9 completion percentage. And again, that's a huge jump. Now, I think their efficiency on the ground really, really helps that. And I don't think Josh Allen has that luxury. They're fine on the ground. They're okay, whatever. But they're not like Philly on the ground. So, yeah, another big jump in completion percentage.
Chris, I have a non-football related thing. So, dog was in the vet hospital. And I came in today to pick her up, and the receptionist there had this really well-colored hair. And I have to preface that the vet hospital is a stone's throw away from a strip club. Okay.
So was the hair blonde or brunette, or was it like purple or pink?
It was red. It was like blonde to red is how it was dyed. It had to have been very expensive.
Like that, yeah.
But her natural hair color was brown because you could start to see the roots.
Okay.
Anyways,
but yeah, I want to make sure it just went a regular dye.
I am now prefacing this with the fact that this is a stone's throw away from a strip club. Where I got my dog, my precious little girl, up in an hour plus north of me where I currently live. We had the shelter there. There is a strip club a stone's throw away. And one of the vet techs there at that shelter / vet hospital, it was also a vet office
usually
too.
They are, yeah.
This girl was almost positively a stripper. Are all vet assistants secretly strippers? Because they might be.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say no. She's the tech or the vet? Or just
the vet assistant was their
so she's
official...
in the room with you. She's not a secretary or per se. She's not a receptionist.
But if I had but you think if I had put a pole in the room, had she gravitated towards it?
And it resisted.
Okay. Just wondering. Anyways,
let's close it out, buddy.
Do you want to close it out? I mean,
I think we're an hour and a half, and I got nothing left. In more ways than one. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything else to talk about. I'm good. I have had my brain vomit, and you guys have soaked it up. Sorry to put you in
real quick before we end it. What are your thoughts on? I kind of touched on it earlier. James Robinson, Travis Etienne.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know or necessarily even believe that he's going to take the job from James Robinson, but the numbers and recency bias is indicating it's definitely leaning towards either a 50-50 or a 60-40 in favor of Mr. Etienne.
Etienne.
Yeah, Etienne. It's Etienne.
Etienne.
It's French Cajun, dude. It's Etienne. Like etouffee. It's Etienne. I'm sticking to my guns. But no, I think I'm concerned about James Robinson, and it's just such a far cry from what he was doing in the first 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
Off the top of my head? 2 weeks. So week 3 wasn't that good?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then the past 2 weeks are what we're talking about are more Etienne centric.
I'm wondering if it's just like Robinson came out of the cannon and then he lost inertia super quick, you know?
Somebody mentioned something about one of the other Achilles. Now you're going to make me mispronounce everything. I've been doing so good with
Cam Akers.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce his name, Cam Akers.
Yeah, was that maybe he wasn't as good off as we thought out of the gate. Maybe it catches up with you after you do some work, after you play 3, 4, 5, 6 games, and your Achilles flares up. Maybe that's what's happening to James Robinson right now. And hey, man, wasn't Etienne a late first rounder? No, that's Jacksonville. That doesn't add up. Early second? Mid first? 14th?
Mid to 20th? Late? No, I'm saying like 20. I think they had 2 picks that year because it was Lawrence and Etienne.
Yep, same year. You're right.
That's not true. It was Lawrence and then Etienne. I think it was Josh Allen and Etienne.
No, because Etienne got hurt for the year in his rookie year, which was last year. He was out.
Which was Trevor Lawrence, wasn't it?
Which was Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, same draft, exact same draft. Addressed to the two.
I was right. Why don't I trust the first thing I say? Because usually the first thing I say is offensive.
You used to give me so much crap. Just say it, Chris. Just go with your gut. You know, if you're not sure, if you don't have any numbers, just say it. I've been doing better. And now you're doing worse. It's like Etienne and James Robinson.
I'm having an off week, damn it. I'm agreeing with you. I'm being nice to you. I'm having an off week. All right.
Off week is an understatement. We need to get this shit over with.
You're like,
I
hope your sister dies so this streak continues. And I'm like, I don't have a sister. I hope she dies anyways.
I hope the sister you never had die. Yeah, that's creepy. But no, that's great. No, yeah, I'm a little worried about Etienne taking over. To put that in a nutshell.
Worried or glad? I mean, as an Etienne manager and Dynasty, I love it, but
worried in terms of as a fantasy community, I think we were all pretty high on James Robinson coming out of the gate for good reason. And I say pretty high. I mean, I didn't think he was a CMC or I don't know. I didn't think it would last, but I thought he would be consistent throughout. And I think I'm starting to think the other way. And you have Etienne on your Dynasty roster, so I would love for him to just like literally have both his legs cut off tomorrow and never play football again.
Dying of fire, yeah, we get it.
Not because of anything I feel about Etienne, just because I hate
Chris,
you.
I know I'm
because
jinxing
I hate
this.
you to my core.
I know I'm jinxing this.
I don't mean sports or fantasy hate either. I mean legit hate. No, I'm just kidding, folks.
Do you want fuel for that fire? You want some fuel?
Yes, please.
You want some fuel for that fire?
Pour the starter fluid on.
In our Dynasty League, where I was a rookie last year, I have won, I think it's 15 games in a row. That dates back to like week 9 of last year. Yes, that means I won the championship.
Did you see last week your points against was literally half of the next lowest dude? I say literally. It was darn close to half. You were averaging like 75 points against. Now, to be clear, folks, that's because the guy he played week 1 was getting married and didn't put a single player in his starting lineup because it was the beginning.
I also scored like a top 4 points for that week too.
No, you would have won anyway. But I'm not talking about win-loss, which you're doing fine at. I'm talking about literally points against, which hands you wins. Yes, you would have still won, so maybe this is a moot point. Your record would still be the same, but yeah, I suppose points for is the tiebreaker.
Faustian deal with the devil.
Yeah, and then some of the other guys you played. I mean, I think one guy started in an active guy, but hey, I've done that once this year. Not in Dynasty, I believe, but I've done it once or twice in redraft on accident.
Oh, it's coming when I play Keith. Keith was the last person I lost to.
Yeah, but Keith also lost to me, a guy who's trying to tank. And then I win 2 in a row. Okay, we need to get out of here. We could talk about this off air.
Or we could just keep talking about it. Whatever.
Yeah. Just broadcasting to the empty space.
No! Wait, hold on a second.
We got a question.
Would y'all do Aaron Jones for Breece Hall and a
No.
Yes.
No, absolutely not. I'm not getting rid of Breece Hall. No way. Redraft or Dynasty. Nope.
He says Aaron Jones for Breece Hall. So, yeah, I would. I would get rid of Aaron Jones.
Oh, I read it backwards. Again, I'm dyslexic. That's a lie. I'm not dyslexic.
I would definitely do Aaron Jones for Breece Hall in a PPR because Aaron Jones has been kind of lackluster.
He was the leading target getter at the running back position until Lenny last week, I believe. Right,
but even then, Aaron Jones has been a little lackluster this year. Breece Hall is starting to come into his own. Okay, so take away those two touchdowns last week that Michael Carter snaked away from Breece Hall.
Did he really get 2 touchdowns?
Yes.
Oh my! Well, they did score a ton of points. I didn't even realize that.
2 short yardage touchdowns.
Breece could have gotten one of those and had his epic.
At least one of those was a long run by Breece Hall that he was cut short.
I did know that. You're right. I'm sorry. I actually watched it live.
And
it was a huge run, and he was down at the half. Yard line. It's ridiculous.
So Breece Hall is
Breece Hall all day, Aaron. I'm sorry, Breece Hall all day, Showtime.
Yeah, that Breece Hall is coming to his own. I think it definitely looks like it. You know, the numbers say that
for my dynasty team because
the snap percentages looks like it. Aaron Jones is still splitting carries with AJ Dillon for some reason at this point. The Packers
offense has not been that great.
The Packers need to figure out what the hell is going on with their offense.
It's an amalgamation of all the parts, just like any offense is. You're going to have some issues at offensive line here and there, or your offensive line gets healthy, all of a sudden they're really good, or your backup running back isn't playing better. Your 2 starting receivers in Green Bay's instance are really young.
Sorry, I'm looking at Showtime's comments. He's like, I remember that touchdown snagged. My friend who owns Paul was pissed because he lost by 4 points.
This is the guy you're pouncing on to try and trade. Showtime, good on you. Hey man, try and buy. I guess you're buying high. Anyway, if he's upset and he's ready to deal.
But it's not a bad trade, really. I don't really necessarily like doing running back for running back, but you might
need to dress it up a little bit.
Honestly, I would.
Showtime, if he wants Dynasty or redraft.
If he wants to do it, dude. If it's in Dynasty, oh yeah, you smash that. But if it's in redraft and if he wants to do it straight up, fine. If I was him, I would be like, well, maybe I could get Aaron Jones and something.
I think. I know Aaron Jones was supposed to be the better player and might still be, going back to the Dynasty thing, might still be viewed as moving forward. But I think Jones is gone next year. Isn't that what we said at the offseason this season? I think the contract. And Dillon's there. I think he's gone.
I think it all depends on what Favre. Aaron Rodgers
by no means
is going to do.
He's kind of eccentric, isn't he? Aaron Rodgers, not Showtime.
like Brett Favre, who apparently likes.
Oh, don't even. We need to end the stream right now. Don't even get me started. I can't. What is with Green Bay quarterbacks, dude? Just the biggest pieces of garbage I've ever run into I've run into them. That was the wrong way to put that. The biggest pieces of garbage I've ever watched play the quarterback was, hey man, thank you, Mr. Showtime, for this subscribe. I really for the sub. I really appreciate it, man. We're trying to get this thing off.
And you wanted to end the show early, and we stuck around for a little showtime.
Exactly. Well said, Joshua. Well said. Well said.
Don't call me Joshua. I will ghost dad your ass.
Really?
Yeah.
My dad, well, your dad too, is 73, 74, 75 plus, 77, whatever.
I'm not as old as you.
No, our dads. And so my dad habitually.
Thus, my dad is probably not as old as your dad. I have an old dad for my age.
That's true. And I'm a second child. You're an only child. So that's actually, there's probably a good 5-year difference.
How old is your wife's dad?
My dad is, I'm sorry, my father-in-law is the oldest out of all 4 of my in-laws and my 2 actual parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my father-in-law. I think he's 77 and my dad is 76.
God, he's old
as
fuck.
In fact, I think it goes dad, mom. So it's, anyway, that's not important. My point is, what my actual dad does habitually, he's like, but he doesn't really like his full name, does he? And I'm like, or his middle name. No, he says middle name. I said, no, it's not that I don't like Paul, Dad. Paul's a fine name. I like Paul. I just really like my abbreviated first name and my full first name. I love Christopher. I think it's a great name. I have no problem if people call me Christopher. I don't prefer it necessarily.
All right, Christopher Robin.
I have gotten that before. All right, let's end this thing. Thank you so much, Showtime, for showing up. Check the links in the description. We'll be live Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We're spitting out amazing fantasy advice every week, twice a week.
8 p.m. on Thursday night, Central Standard Time. Or if we get done about 9, and then you get this bullshit that we're rambling on about right now.
Yeah, we've been milking this a little bit, but follow us on Twitter. He's at Josh AFFB. I'm at AFFB Chris. AFFB stands for Amazing Fantasy Football. Yeah, I know.
Because AFF is Adult Friend Finder in the internet. So
technically, football is one word. Yeah, I remember this revelation when we started the show 3 years ago, coming up on 3 years. Woo.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I had this thought on the toilet earlier today. I was like, wow.
You spend a lot of time in the toilet, dude.
I do.
How much time do you think you spend?
I have children. I can get away from it. I'm just kidding. I can get away from it down here. Who am I kidding?
How much time do you think you spend on the toilet every day, on average?
I don't know.
On it, not standing in front of it. On it.
Pooping. Because we're men. 10 minutes? 15?
A day?
Yeah. I like to take my time when I poop. Okay, this show is going downhill real quick.
That's not that bad. Dude, okay, so you want to hear something? You want to hear an astronomical number?
I'm oblivious.
Oh, yeah, you are.
I think I might be. Not that badly, but badly enough. Go ahead.
My uncle, I bet he spends at least 2 hours on the toilet a day.
Oh, does he have problems?
No, he calls it the library.
Yeah,
so he just sits in there and reads. And
that's what I was getting about, just getting away from it.
I said on the toilet.
Yeah, no, he's sitting on it, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah, there's a magazine rack. I mean, they live out in
He's got like a switch in there, like a gaming and shit. My legs are numb. I don't have that problem.
I think Carson Wentz got benched. Or he got injured. Or he got injured. I don't know which.
For your other favorite quarterback, Thomas Handelstein? I don't know what. I really tried with that last name, and wow, that was pitiful. I
literally said
I at least started with an H. Other than that, it was pitiful.
It was just you were like, yeah.
I think the whiskey's speaking now for me, so maybe we should get out of here.
All right, I'm gone.
All right, folks.
Peace out, folks. Good luck.
Again, next week, give us some viewership. We'll be here giving amazing fantasy advice. We love you. Good night. Good luck.